Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Agree to Disagree here on the New American Media on the TNAM radio network. My name is Brian Engelman. I'm going to be your host, as I have been for the past 4.5 years, and I appreciate each and every one of you who has connected with us in our various social media and home-based platforms. Let me run through them real quick for you. TheNewAmericanMedia.com is our hub. That's where on the right-hand side you see the TNAM radio button. You click play and you listen live right off of that. TNAM radio. It's on the right-hand side of TheNewAmericanMedia.com. When we do our shows, we send out a tweet and we send out a Facebook message. So link up with us. That's also on TheNewAmericanMedia.com on the right-hand side underneath TNAM radio, Facebook, and Twitter. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. That's American_media_. And you can do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between, or just pull it off of our homepage. And finally, perhaps most importantly, YouTube.com/The New American Media. If you let those advertisements play, it's like tossing a couple pennies in our wishing well. And many thousands of you have continued checking out our stuff since we launched that function. And I'll tell you what, it's a very promising, humble beginning that I'm going to remember forever. But the biggest, brightest, baddest days for the New American Media lie ahead of us, and I think the beta test is about over. We're going to do a lot of great things, and all of your support helps. Our guest tonight for the program is going to be Alex Freeman, independent journalist and activist. You know, because every little bit helps. And when you get involved in something like this, trust me, you know, I can speak for myself. You don't spend 4.5 years doing what I've been doing because you get instantly famous and you instantly make millions of dollars or something. That's not why I got into this. I did it because I felt like I had to. I had to do something. I had to participate. I couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore. I saw the whole world falling apart. Nothing's making any bit of sense. And I just wanted to join the conversation. I wanted to talk with interesting people, and I wanted to get involved and make something happen. And that's really what we have to be doing these days if you care. You know, you can bury your head in the sand and ignore all of the important stuff going on in the world, but come on, man, if we only live once this time around, why not do something to make something better? Pay a little bit of karma forward. So at least that's part of why I've been doing what I'm doing, and Alex Freeman has been doing what he's doing. I'll let him explain in his words why he's been working as an independent journalist and activist, but he has a new project, and we want to talk with him about it. Pretty much a way that you can take the message to the people and connect. When things happen, you can just kind of mobilize and go. Kind of like we did at the Bundy Ranch. We saw the video, the Pete Santilli video, and we went, whoa, this is getting bad. And we went out there and we interviewed all the cast of characters, and you know, sometimes you just got to be ready to go, which is why we recommend that everybody's prepared with your bug-out bags and everything that you could imagine. If you got to just drop it and go, if you got Hurricane Joaquin, if you got an earthquake, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just need to be able to drop everything and go somewhere. And that's pretty much what Alex Freeman's project is all about. So we're going to welcome him back into the program. Alex Freeman, it is great to talk to you again, sir. How you doing this evening?
Always a pleasure, sir. I'm doing fantastic.
Thanks
so much for having me on.
Oh, sure thing. It's an interesting project that you have brewing over there in the Alex Freeman universe of things, and I definitely said, hey, man, come on, talk about it. I'm curious. I have more questions than I could, you know, because you know how people communicate these days. It's a text here, it's a quick email there, and it's like, no, sometimes you just want to chit-chat and go over some stuff in person, and that's why I selfishly do these radio shows, so I can kind of dig around on stuff. So let's talk about your project. First off, what is it? You know, I was going to lead off with that, but real quick, let's reset for people who haven't listened to the couple other radio shows you've been on. Introduce yourself to our audience, if you would be so kind.
All right. Well, my name is Alex Freeman, and I am a writer, a journalist, activist, and I guess public intellectual, although if anybody listens to what I say sometimes, I sort of question their intellectualism. I troll myself. But, like you, Brian, I'm of the mentality that the things are falling apart in a way. And instead of trying to join this movement or that movement, I and many of the people around me that I'm engaged in this project with decided to move. And by move, I mean stay on the move. We have, over the last several years, been engaged in fights to stop the Trans-Pacific Partnership and stop the war in Syria from even starting. And I think it's safe to say that those two projects specifically have failed.
What is it? Obama's now the first Nobel Prize Award winner to ever bomb another Nobel Prize Award winner. Is that an accurate representation?
That's a mark of distinction that I think will live in infamy.
It really is a sign of the times.
That a bunch of doctors got bombed in a hospital.
It's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the times. It really sums up just how ludicrous all this stuff is. On the flip side, I don't have access to all the military intelligence, but I know damn well that opposing sides hide in mosques, they hide in hospitals, they hide in schools, they hide everywhere they can to, oh no, my God, look how evil the other side is, they bombed a school. It's like, yeah, you were firing rockets from there, and you did it, so you thought you could be invincible. So I don't have access to all the information, although there was a pretty public apology today. So, maybe we were.
I'm much more interested in the very public call for a war crimes investigation. However, that much like, say, the Cincinnati or Ferguson police departments, I'm sure they will investigate themselves and find that they did nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's the other classic one. Fox in charge of the penthouse.
So, in that world, that's the world that we sort of live in. And many activists take on direct action for it, whether it's in the streets, black bloc style, lighting cars on fire or what have you, or holding signs and marching through the streets. I'm all for those direct actions, and I've been very fortunate in the past several weeks to be able to travel to a few of those events in the Ohio area. But there's a great big wide world out there and a lot of things happening in a lot of places. And those events need to be covered. It's one thing to serve as an independent journalist and do all of your research online and talk to people either online or via phone. It's another thing entirely to be there and have a firsthand account of the events that are taking place in our world, to document the first draft of history. And that's one of the goals of the Resistance Mobile Response Unit, which is what we're calling our new project. And what the Resistance Mobile Response Unit is and will do is not just one project. It doesn't have just one goal. This is a Swiss Army knife or a Batman utility belt of sorts for activists.
I like that, a Swiss Army knife for activists.
What we're going to be doing, and it is a we project, this is not just a me thing, but what we are going to be doing while we are on the road is everything that activists online talk about doing and being inspired to do and saying that people need to do more of, from helping out with Op Safe Winter and feeding and clothing the homeless, especially in the places where it's illegal to do so, to transporting activists from one part of the country to another when major things happen. We will be able to do that using the Resistance Mobile Response Unit. And what this is going to be is basically, we're getting an RV. Nice. We're going to paint this bad boy up in wonderful red and black anarchy colors. And on one side of the RV, we're going to have a list of all of the wonderful independent media outlets out there, like the Fifth Column News and the Pontiac Tribune, Anti-Media, the New American Media.
I've heard of them.
And And when we get to one place or another, we're going to have each of these groups sign the bus, whether it's the Chicago Anonymous or Code Pink or anyone else that we work with, Helping Hands Inc. out of St. Tammany Parish in Louisiana. It's a great organization in Louisiana that's working to connect local individuals there to get power bills paid for low-income families, or clothe and feed their young children when the state is unable to, or they're unable to. So,
yeah, the Swiss Army concept kind of says it all. There's going to be a lot of different purposes that it could be used for. And I just wanted to clarify, to jump back to something before we got into some of the nuts and bolts of it. As far as being out there and covering stuff, like when I went to Bundy Ranch, like the worst part was hearing that there were snipers up in the mountains and knowing just how surveilled the area was. And of course, after the interviews, that's when it all went down and the standoff occurred. But I just wanted to say, like, as far as like the riots and stuff, you mentioned the Black Bloc riots and, property damage and flipping cars. Like, I hate that crap. That's the stuff I need to steer completely away from. Obviously, Bundy Ranch was a little different because I knew what I was walking into, and I guess you could say the same about going to Baltimore or Ferguson. But I just remember watching videos of protesters mad about Freddie Gray attacking people coming out of Camden Yards and lighting buildings on fire. I can't stand that stuff. So I hope if you participate in those things, you stay at a far distance to document it and just avoid those hooligans.
No, the project, if I'm at those events, it will strictly be as an independent journalist observing what's going on.
Yeah.
There is productive violence and there is unproductive violence. And as much as we may like to talk about sometimes and hope for on occasion that wonderful revolution circa 1776 where we overthrow our hideous overlords that are taxing our teas and sugar, this country is just not ready for it at this point. And there is a difference between a large-scale riot and a revolution.
Oh yeah, I was out at Occupy LA and Occupy LA and obviously Bundy Ranch and stuff, and you see it going on across the country, little city by little city, and you're wondering what the next thing will be, especially when you see all of northern Africa on fire, and that's been going on since the Muslim Brotherhood and Egypt and Tunisia and all that stuff that started so many years ago. But you're very right in the respect that these things pop off. The ship hits the sand is another way to say that, which I always crack up on, and I have a really hard time saying the other way. But when the ship hits the sand, you need to be able to go. You need to be able to go quick, and being mobile is something, that used to be reserved for the big Fox and NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN. They send their, big trucks out there, their satellites and all that jazz. I guess having a Swiss Army knife mobile response unit to go out there, I don't know that I've really seen another outlet with a headquarters that fulfills multiple responsibilities. So you started talking about some of the things that you intend to do with the RV. What are some of the tools when you start popping them out of that Swiss Army knife? So are you going to have like a communication center, some sort of med center? How far have you gone into like actually designing what is going to be on the inside as far as supplies and tools and things that can be offered?
No, it's a great question. We have that will serve as an electronic command center to help monitor all messages on our social media pages and websites, etc. when we get the website set up. We will have contacts in just about every state and every city that will serve as central points for what's going on in that area. And those nodes are the beginning of a network of communities that will exist independently from the major corporate and military governments of the world.
And
You know,
the thing about being mobile is, you're going to be able to go to these different communities, these different places, and have the opportunity to see firsthand some of the things they're doing that are working, and then you can kind of take some information and skills and knowledge and take it to other communities.
that's exactly right.
How far through have you thought that concept and certain types of communities and places you can visit? When Ferguson and Baltimore and what have you aren't burning on fire, and you don't jump into the hurricane.
It's really one of the primary goals that we have for it. If we're not learning everything that we can from everyone that we encounter, as well as sharing the information that we've learned with everyone we come across, then we're not effectively doing our job. And one of the biggest pitfalls or setbacks to where we as an activist community are, or a progressive or revolutionary community, a community of people, whether you agree with other people or not, whether you live near them or not, who all fundamentally say, F your system, that know that the system as it exists, the global corporate military banking system, does not work for us. People in Ohio don't really know what's going on in Colorado, what those guys are doing out there, how they are developing earthships in New Mexico, or tiny house communities outside of Boulder, or how people in Alaska are developing vertical farms and solar-powered schools that provide more energy than what the grid in that city needs. So when we can learn what those communities are doing and transfer that knowledge from Alaska to Jacksonville, Florida, we'll be able to not only empower those local communities, but also strengthen the network of communities across the nation and really across the world with our while we have continued internet access communications. But by being there in person and on the ground, having those firsthand accounts and experiences will go further to strengthen the networks between those communities and more securely pass information and messages without government eavesdropping or corporate eavesdropping, without worrying about the FCC and CISPA. We won't have to worry about the spying when it comes to face-to-face communications and a Pony Express delivery system.
The Pony Express. Now that's interesting. Pony Express delivery system. By the way, speaking about privacy, have you seen? I'm sure you have, but do you have any takeaways from Edward Snowden's first week on Twitter?
From what I saw of the first couple of days, it was a shill account. It wasn't really him. But then again, I haven't been online very much in the past week or so. A lot of my time and energy have been spent organizing and developing everything administratively that needs to happen in order for this Resistance MRU vehicle to come into existence and effectively travel the country.
So where are you at with that as far as the fundraising? Have you looked at, because I've actually been shopping RV models for quite some time, kind of looking at different options, trying to figure out exactly what size I'm looking for and this, that, and the other. Where are you at in the process? Are you close? Do you have something? You're currently fundraising? Walk us through where you're at with that.
Yeah, we are definitely currently fundraising, and we're of the mindset and the philosophy that there is always an overabundance when you pay things forward. And with the network of people that we have, even if it's only $1 or $2 that people can contribute to this, it may not mean a whole lot to them now, but in the impact that it makes across the world when those small funds are aggregated, it's really going to make a big difference, especially in, say, a situation of someone I know that used to live in Cleveland, was renting a house, and the landlord said, "Hey, I'm selling the house. Get out. You have 2 weeks." That's somebody that we could have, especially since they were so close to us, we could have shown up and helped them get to somewhere safe, get his family somewhere safe. And $1 or $2 from a few hundred people aggregated makes a big difference. Now, to answer your question as to where we are, yes, we are still fundraising. We still do need the help and support. However, we are a lot closer than I think anyone ever believed we would be, barely a week into public announcement of the project. Brian, big news here. We're going to be on the road before the end of the month.
Nice.
We are already in discussions with people to not only purchase a truck, but also a fifth wheel. And any and all contributions that come in at this point will do one of two things. They will help outfit this unit with solar panels, help buy the paint so that we can make this black and red mobile billboard for activist groups and independent media. And it's going to help keep gas in the tank, keep us on the road.
Oh, and your
doing
brakes.
The work that everybody wants us to do.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget your brakes, your tires, your carburetor, your transmission, your spark plugs, your windshield wipers. Like, you don't just get something and go, all right, cool, I got it. Like that's the beginning.
There's upkeep with it.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people have said that, this is just another scam fundraising thing, or, they don't know where the money is going or not assured of anything. And I've got to tell you that in this case, it's patently false. This is a community project. We're out doing the work that many people for years have said that they wish they could do if they had the time.
I gotta jump in right there on that, because I was listening to it's a really good station if you get the chance. It's KFI AM 640 out of Los Angeles. I know it's easy to just click on it on iHeartRadio. But they were just literally about an hour or two ago, before we got this show sorted out, were saying that more than 50% of Angelenos would like to volunteer and would like to donate and would like to, I guess just volunteer was the right phrase that they used. They just did a survey, and they said, but most people just don't have time. They don't have time to do it. People are like, right out of high school, I went and backpacked Europe. Oh, I wish I could backpack Europe. I just haven't had the time. And it's okay. So most people don't have time. I mean, look at the jury duty thing. How many people legitimately say, hey, I can't take a couple days off. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I heard on Coast to Coast last night that another survey, I forget what percentage it was, but a shocking percentage of American families and individuals, rather, don't have a single dollar in their savings account, or if they do, it's under some almost minuscule number where it's like if anything comes up, like a carburetor or a transmission or a surgery or some sort of injury, they're bankrupt. Like, that's how close most people are living to the bottom line these days, because they just keep chipping and chipping and chipping. It's like when they would scrape the gold coins, and they'd rub them down, they'd melt into new coins. It's like, if I could just skim a little off of here. We're skimmed. Most people want to do good, but we don't have time. So I thought it's interesting that you brought that up right when those two stories kind of combined for me. What can you do for people that, like you said, don't have the time? How do you connect with that?
Two things on that. Number one, we have gotten to the point where we're tired of making that excuse, and we're exercising the will to make the time. We're not letting this system wear us down. We're going to escape the system and show everyone that says, I don't have time. I want to, but I don't have time. We're going to show them the way.
Right.
And second, we're also going to help build that alternative system, that alternative network, that alternative economy built based off of sustainability, barter and trade, so that people have an alternative. Right now, most Angelenos and most Americans and most people across the world don't realize that there are viable alternatives to survival other than going to work for 40 hours a week, but then spending another 10 to 20 hours a week in the car commuting.
Oh yeah, the commutes are terrible.
You know, we're going to show them that there are other ways to share of themselves and give of themselves so that everyone rises.
You know, I found this thing. It's from World War II. Once again, synchronicity. As you were talking about that, it's something I've been really studying and learning about over the past probably my whole life, I would say, because I've always had a garden. But it's this dark green and light green picture, and it's got a guy with farmer with his sleeves rolled up, and he's got a shovel, and it's got this woman on her knees, and has a packet of seeds, and she's planting some rows. And it says, "Save money the easy way. Grow a garden. It's thrifty. It's patriotic. Plant today." It's one of those war slogans with the victory gardens and whatnot. But, you want to spend less time working, spend a little bit more time gardening. Your grocery bills will go down, especially if you have some kids that can help, you have an extended family that wants to throw down on it. You can get a lot of stuff done on a little piece of land if you all put in a little bit of time and you're not the only one doing it.
Forget the flowers, grow vegetables.
Exactly. Flowers are so pointless unless you can eat them. There's a lot of ways you can either try to change the system. I mean, come on, what political figure hasn't been promising that since the beginning of time?
Thank you.
Especially the Bernie Sanders of right now. It's like, hey, kids, it's Halloween. Free candy, free candy. It's like, okay, buddy, I get it. You like candy, but I'm not paying for it. But to change the system is impossible, but to disconnect in your own personal way, following the legal paths that are set there to ensnare us so that we're smart enough to avoid the roadblocks that are going to crash our car, figuratively, not literally there. We can disconnect from the system and live our particular way, which piece by piece, inch by inch, starts to change the entire system. Once again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what I heard when you said that, and that resonates with me.
That's exactly it. I'm looking at this project, the Resistance Mobile Response Unit, sort of like Alexander the Great looked at the Gordian Knot, or the Germans looked at the Maginot Line. We don't have to address the problems head on and directly. We can go around them. When the Roman Empire or the British Empire or the Ottoman Empire or Mongolian Empire or even the Alexander's Greek Empire got so large that it could not maintain itself without local fiefdoms and power centrals, you saw communities crop up and develop sustainable ways to live independent of and without respect to those empires. And here we are going through the exact same cycle, the exact same pattern, and it's time to build those communities. It's time to show the world that there are better ways. And by being mobile, by face-to-face strengthening the networks across the country, uniting the groups that already exist, that are already doing these incredible things. They're engaged in these projects of earthships and tiny homes and sustainable agriculture, sustainable energy. By taking that information and sharing it with other groups, those other groups get stronger. We help build those communities so it's not just 7 or 8 people that are labeled as quacks and cult members by the old stream media and outside world that just don't understand it. We grow those communities to sustainable sizes that can absorb an increase of, call them refugees if you want, for when Detroit shuts off the water or Flint, Michigan throws so much lead into the water that you can't drink it.
Yeah, that's swell. Yeah, I'm all for industry, but it's like, hey guys, can you not dump Fukushima into the Pacific Ocean, please? You know,
Yeah,
EPA, can you
and I
not
love
blow
sushi,
up an
man.
old mine? I know,
Damn it.
sushi's... But, you know, I was in Taos, New Mexico at the, they call it the Phoenix. It's it's one of the bigger, I think it's the biggest Earthship in Taos, New Mexico, right there in the greater world Earthship community. And it's got to be one of the bigger ones that they've done, although they're finding people with a lot of money that are financing some incredible Earthships these days. But yeah, it's a 2-story indoor greenhouse with full banana trees and birds flying around, and they even have like this pond where you can go get your tilapia. You know, so maybe the future is fish that are inside of our greenhouse that requires no heating or cooling, and even when it's -30 outside, the greenhouse is still warm and feels like a greenhouse in the middle of cold, freezing desert. You're growing food and raising fish, and maybe you could have your sushi from your backyard. I really just, you're so right that this whole system is unsustainable. This is completely built up to collapse. Where are we at as far as, the 1776 moment, or, the Whiskey Rebellion? Look at every little uprising or big, massive change. Who the hell knows? But I don't want to be a part of it when it does happen. I want to have my stuff in order. I think just living with intelligence and trying to see into the future and kind of looking at trends and setting people up. There's a lot of people that are close to being woken up. There are a lot of people that are right there, but they don't know the next step. And there's a lot of people that by just checking out some solar panels or this or that, they're going to get some ideas that are going to, like a seed, plant it, water it, give it sunlight, and it's going to grow. A lot of people need that, and when you're mobile, you're going to have more of an opportunity to do that and go out and see some people. So why don't we do this as we wrap it up, Alex? Give us all of the information about if someone wants to participate, if they want to throw down a couple of bucks and help out the project, the best way to stay in connection with you, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, a different website, what have you. Let's get all that info out there so people can go check it out after the show.
Well, right now, the first and foremost place to keep up with the info of what's going on is primarily and solely Facebook. That wonderful, wonderful system of government spying.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry. 6 months from now, Brian, you're going to have me on the air again talking about where we are with this project, and I'm going to have a lot more information of websites and Twitter pages and such like that. But right now you can go to Facebook, and there's a page for it, and there's a public group for it. That everybody is welcome to like the page and join the group. And the best way to find both of those is in your search string on Facebook to hashtag Resistance MRU, short for Mobile Response Unit, hashtag Resistance MRU. Now remember that line. You can go to, if you have a couple of bucks to chip in, you can go to youcaring.com/Resistance MRU. And if you are really and truly a fan of this project, if this is something that you would like to do yourself, but for whatever reason you're unable to at the moment and you want to see this succeed, you can go to patreon.com, that's patreon.com/Resistance MRU, and set up a monthly pledge. It's as little as $1, as much as you want. And all that does is keep us on the road, keep all of our mechanics working in order, and making sure that we're continuing to do the work. Now, I don't want everybody to think that we're just expecting to live off of the goodwill of other people. Everybody that's on this Resistance Mobile Response Unit have jobs. We work, and every bit of our income goes straight towards this. Not just keeping this running, but also towards buying clothes for the homeless and the needy, to feeding as many people as we possibly can. We already have plans. We're trying to set up or figure out which location we're going to do it in. But on Thanksgiving, we're not going to be cooking for us. We are going to be cooking for the homeless, and we are going to be feeding the homeless out of the Resistance MRU.
Yeah,
don't know where that's going to be yet, but we'll let you know.
Yeah, that's one of the yearly things I do. My Masonic lodge, they always go and get all these turkeys, and You know, I don't even cook turkey for myself, and it's something I do, like the torture of it. Like every year they just go get it the day what is it, like the day after Thanksgiving or something? They go get them from Costco, and they're so cheap because they got to get rid of all the frozen ones that are there. And we buy tons and tons and tons of turkey, and I always cook it, and it smells so delicious, and I'm basting it and the butter and everything, and it smells so good. And then I gotta wrap it up and just go give it away right after that. And it's like, yeah, just, you know, anything we can do to give something back, it does feel good. I think I saw a line somewhere that said volunteering is the rent we pay to live on planet Earth.
To live on the planet, yep.
Yeah, something like that. Giving back is the rent that we pay on this planet. So, I mean, we're eager to
we're not asking people to contribute or donate. We're asking people to help pay it forward. And again, they can go to youcaring.com/ResistanceMRU to do that. Hashtag ResistanceMRU on Facebook for all of the little blog posts and updates of what's going on. And for monthly supporters, the easiest place to go is to patreon.com/ResistanceMRU.
Excellent. Well, you know what? Best of luck with that project, because it starts with the idea you have and your motivation to see a project through. I know that firsthand, and you got an idea, and it just etched its way in, and it grew roots, and now it's there, and now you're doing something about it. So, you know, we always support individuals taking action, peaceful action to go impact the world in a positive way. So, I mean, we wish you the best of luck, Alex. We'll do this chat again when we get an update, and we will talk with you again soon. Thank you so much for your time again tonight.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. There he goes. I appreciate your time. Thanks for listening to this special episode on this random day at this random hour. But it was an important subject. We'll talk with you again soon. Peace.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to Agree to Disagree with Brian Engelman, and this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the NewAmericanMedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. You know, there are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.